Hey, welcome to our F3 podcast, where we discuss all things pertaining to faith, family, and finances. And remember this, no subject is off limits. All right, so we are your host today, Dr. Lionel M. Blair Sr., and I'm sitting next to my perfect, did I say perfect? I said perfect wife. Amen. Glory to God. She gets her perfection from the God above. Yeah, Bobo Shy. My wife, Dr. Jasmine Blair. We got a good one for you today. All right. And we're really talking about the cost of ministry. So
Mm-hmm.
to go ye is going to cost ye.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for that introduction. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on the F3 podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Hit the notification bell so you will be notified every time we premiere a new episode. I think this is a good topic
Oh, yes.
because a lot of people don't realize. People, oh, well, the gospel should be free. And yes, the gospel is free, but we've got to recognize there are costs in going places and traveling and
Yeah.
bringing the word. And I think people fail to realize, even if you never charge a dime to actually go and minister, there are expenses involved with getting to and fro where you go.
Expenses. Expenses.
I remember one time seeing this young man. He was posting on Facebook, I don't see why people charge to go places. If I'm ever asked to go anywhere, I would never charge them. I would go on my own dime and I would spend my own money and I would stay as long as I needed to and come back, and I would just be happy to share the gospel.
You
And
must don't have a family.
and he didn't have a family at the time. I said to myself, okay, obviously you don't have a family, you don't have a wife and children yet, you don't have other responsibilities, because if you did, you would be thinking about this differently.
Probably living home with his mama.
Fast forward to, as he began to grow mature and he got a family and responsibilities and things like that, let's just say that his ideology on that changed very fast.
I bet it did.
It's easy to say, especially after he had to move across country, from literally one coast to the other. That's not an inexpensive thing. A lot of times we have these ideas and ideologies that are just formed off of something that is not realistic. We think, okay, well, if God called you, and you're going here, I mean, he should be able to do this and he should be able to do that. But the reality of it is, it's less about what God calls somebody to do and more about the heart of those involved that are making the request. I mean, let's put this in a form that most people can understand. If you decide you want to go on a vacation in Colorado, I'm just throwing out a random place. All right. For if you're listening and you're not in Colorado, whether you drive there, you take a plane or a train, you're going to have to spend something to get to Colorado. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to spend something to get to Colorado. Even if you're going to have some type of sleeping arrangement, rather, even if you eat fruits and vegetables and trail mix, you're going to have some type of sustenance while you're there. So it's going to cost you something to go to Colorado. So when we put this in terms of ministry, we haven't even gotten to, the bestowing honor part yet. We're just on the basics of getting there and ministering and coming back. There are expenses that are involved in that.
Yeah.
There are, if it's going to cost you to go to Colorado just because, why do you think it won't cost somebody to go to Colorado to preach? Regardless of your reasoning for going, to go ye is going to cost ye.
Yeah, and I used to be like that too. I used to bash money preachers, and I used to didn't expect anything when I went places to go minister. And then, I quickly got tired of putting up my own money.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I quickly got tired of that because people take advantage of that,
Mm-hmm.
and there's been places where, we don't necessarily charge an honorarium, but we will collect an offering, and you're going to pay for my hotel and my travel expenses. That's what you're going to do, or else I ain't coming.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's just the bottom line. If I'm coming to minister for you and you cannot at least pay my travel expenses, I ain't coming. I don't care how great of a need that's there, Because see, if you really saw the value of who I am, then guess what? You should have adequately saved your money, got a group of people together, save some money, put a create a budget, okay, and properly bring me in. All right, and that's bare minimum. You
Mm-hmm.
understand that? That's bare minimum. And some of y'all may say, "Well, that's not God, Christ like, and all this other stuff." Let me show you what the Bible say.
Yeah, let's go to the word book,
Okay,
chapter,
let
verse.
me show you what the Bible say when Jesus commissioned his apostles. All right, if you go to Matthew 10, right, and this is
Mm-hmm.
when he commissioned them as apostles. He said, verse 5, it says, "These 12 Jesus sent forth and commanded them, saying, Go not in the way of the Gentiles,
Mm-hmm.
um, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And as ye go, preach, saying, The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out devils. Freely you'll receive, freely give." See, we think that's money.
Mm-hmm.
No, he's saying gifts. The only thing I'm obligated to give you for free is prayer
Uh-oh.
and healing. It says freely you. It says what? Heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, freely. And this ain't even talking about prophecy.
Come on.
Okay. Because they gave to the prophet.
Mm-hmm. We already covered that.
We already covered that. Y'all need to go back. Okay. And I don't make a lot of people mad with that, but I don't care. Okay. They gave to the prophet. So this ain't even talking about prophecy because y'all be wanting leaders to prophesy to y'all and counsel y'all and all this other stuff. Take a bunch of time with y'all and y'all don't sow a drip drop or nothing. You are dishonorable. But when it comes to casting out your devils and healing you and if you're dead, raising you up, okay, that all that's free. Are we in the book?
Come on now.
Now, so it says, "Provide neither gold nor silver nor brass for your purses, nor scrip for your journey, neither two coats, neither shoes, nor yet staves, for the workman is worthy of his meat." First of all, God, Jesus ain't gonna tell them not to bring something they didn't have. So these guys had gold, they had silver, they had brass. You understand? They had clothes, they had money. But he said, don't even bring your own personal money. Don't bring your own personal stuff because the workman is worthy of his meat. In other words, the ministry should be providing for you.
Well,
Are we in the book?
we in the book.
It says, "Into whatever city or town ye shall enter, inquire in who is worthy, and there abide till you go thence." In other words, the one who makes accommodations for you,
Yes.
you stay with them. Don't you know that you're not even worthy to receive ministry if if you're in a position to make accommodations and you don't?
Come on now.
I'm talking about if you're in a position to make accommodations and you don't.
Yes.
You're not even worthy of the ministry.
Mm.
And when you come in to a house, salute it. And if the house be worthy, let your peace come upon it. So in other words, if they treat you right,
Mm-hmm.
okay. See, y'all don't think
Ooh.
God don't judge like
Ooh.
this.
Mm.
It says, "But if it be not worthy, let your peace return.
Mm.
And whosoever shall not receive you, huh, nor hear your words when you depart out of that house or city, shake the dust off of your feet." So Jesus is saying right here, don't bring. And see, y'all be wanting the pastors to bring their own ministry,
Mm.
bring their own money, pay for their own ticket. Okay. And I've paid for my own ticket before, but I got compensated back.
Mm-hmm.
So y'all be wanting the man and woman of God pay for their own ticket, okay, buy their own hotel. Okay. I remember one time we traveled 5 hours, okay, didn't have proper hotel lodging, slept at the apostle's house, the bed was so uncomfortable. Went and paid $50 for a motel and only got $90 in an offering.
For 3 days worth of ministry.
For 3 days worth of ministry. $90?
That didn't even cover the gas there and back.
That was so disrespectful. Okay, and we drove 5 hours in the boonies. Okay, so some of y'all, you say your church need ministry, your church need this and that. You need to set aside a budget for that. And I believe
Exactly.
you begin to set aside a budget because you see the value of what you need. I believe God will add to you.
Mm-hmm.
But Jesus told his own apostles, don't bring your money. We shouldn't be spending our money for ministry.
No.
Your pastors should not have to spend a drip drop of their personal money for the ministry.
Mm-hmm.
It's out of order according to the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's out of the workman's worthy of his meat. These guys left their jobs to do the ministry. Your pastors should not have to work a business unless God mandated them to.
Mm-hmm.
Huh? Huh? You want them to counsel you all the time. You want them to preach to you. Okay, some pastors, you want to know why some pastors retire early, quit ministry, or they die early? Because they got to work a job.
Mm-hmm. Number one.
They got to work a job.
Mm-hmm.
They have to provide for their family.
Right.
Okay. Or they have to work a business because you won't retire them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you only have a church full of 100 members. If 100 members gave an extra $100 a month, how much is that?
Let's see.
Like if you set aside for the pastor's salary, if 100 members, and we just gonna do the math here.
100 members set aside $100. That's $10,000.
Are you for real?
Yes, that's $10,000.
What about 50 members? If 50
So
members,
that would be 5,000.
that would be 5,000. Most people don't make 5,000 a month. So if
60,000 in a year,
if there are
before taxes,
there are 50 working. Okay. See, y'all see. And I'm talking about this is extra outside of tithes and offering. Because see, and you got that because you got to eat with that at least one week out of the month. So if you willing to sacrifice your going out meal for a week, you can go out to eat the rest of the other weeks. Just sacrifice your money for 1 week, okay? Because you see the value in the kingdom. You see the value in spiritual things. You understand? Your pastor. Listen, you should have a budget for your pastor outside of your tithes and offering. Okay, so because he or she
cussed some people.
Yeah, he or she should not have to be putting up their personal money. You should be able to. Well, I don't have this. I don't have. Listen, I believe you bless the man and woman of God. God will open up doors for you.
Mm-hmm.
God will open up doors for you. Why? Because the oil runs from the top down. God always starts with the top. See, y'all so busy trying to be a wonder. Instead, you need to uplift that pastor first.
Yes.
And let that blessing run down on you. I'm talking biblical principles here.
Yes.
Okay. Y'all be sitting up here with all this money, buying yourself a Mercedes Benz and your pastor driving in a Honda. You out of order.
Uh-oh.
You out of order.
Isn't it amazing though? We live in a day and time where we expect to be blessed. We expect to have nice things and luxury things, but God forbid the pastor have anything luxury. All of a sudden they're a hireling. All of a sudden, they're not humble. Why is it that the pastor has to be broke, busted, and disgusted to be humble? That doesn't make any sense.
Call me what you want, okay? I ain't gonna be broke for nobody. You can call me a hireling. I know I ain't, but you can call me that all day long. All right? Bless God.
Where did we get this mindset from? And honestly, I believe the church is largely responsible. This false doctrine of Jesus was poor, this poor little carpenter, is why people think this way. Well, the Bible said Jesus didn't have no place to lay his head, but it also said they gambled for his garment that was worth a year's wages. So that's one garment that was worth a year's wages. We translate that today. That one outfit was worth $30,000 to $40,000.
And I'm gonna tell you why Jesus did not have nowhere to lay his head, because he traveled all the time, and hotel lodging accommodations were very scarce back then. So a lot of times they had to build campfires and stuff like that. Okay, and sleep outside.
He couldn't be a Hilton's hotel member back then.
Right.
Right?
Right. That's the only reason why he didn't have no way to lay his head. Because I can show you a scripture where he also had a house.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a house where his disciples and religious leaders came to be taught by him.
Mm.
Okay. I can show you that in the Bible, but I'll let you wait for the book. All right. Because I'm working on the book. All right. Because Jesus was not poor.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, the Magi's, came and, back then a Magi, I think it was like maybe about 10 or 20 people or something like that that would accompany a Magi. So it was a whole caravan of people bringing frankincense and gold and myrrh. These are valuable things. Jesus was set for life from the day he was born.
Come on now.
He was rich as an infant.
Woo.
You understand? He was rich as an infant. So don't sit up here and tell me Jesus was poor.
No.
Okay? You don't like money? Guess what, baby? My shirt should annoy you. All right? Because I like money. I like it. Okay? And
not love it, like it.
Yeah,
and
it makes my life
get mad and go run and tell that he said he loved money.
Money makes my life comfortable. Okay, money allows me to buy my wife things I want to buy her, to provide for my children. Okay, to keep the lights on, to give you the content that you love. All this stuff costs money.
The
internet costs money. Phones, tablets, computers, microphones, cameras, lights. Everything costs money. And some people say, well, you should be helping the poor. First of all, you got to have money to help the poor, Dodo.
That's right.
The poor people can't help nobody, but they're the ones that need the help.
Yes.
They're the ones that need the help. So here it is, Jesus telling them, save your personal wealth.
Yes.
This is Jesus Christ, the Son of God, the second person in the Godhead, co-creator of the entire universe, telling his disciples, telling his apostles, don't bring your personal wealth, but let those who are worthy provide for your ministry. We have to start putting the value on ministry again.
Yes.
Because some of these pastors that's working businesses and stuff, don't get me wrong, some of them may not be called to do that, but they have to. Because if not, then y'all as the church will make them beggars.
Come on.
Okay? The Bible says that Jesus had women, there were women who he cast demons out of, and they begin to follow his ministry, and they begin to minister unto him with their substance. That word substance literally means money and possession. They begin to give him money. They probably gave him money. They probably gave this man land. Okay, they probably gave this man a bunch of goods and possessions. You understand what I'm saying? We got to change our mind about prosperity.
Yes.
Because you definitely going to be offended when you go to heaven.
Uh-oh.
A lot of people say, well, you can't take it with you. No, you can't take it with you because you're exchanging earthly wealth for heavenly treasures. Okay? What you think the wealth in heaven going to look like?
Streets paved with gold.
They got mansions. Can you imagine what their mansions look like up there? Okay? So, no, you can't take it with you because it's primitive compared to what's in heaven. Okay? So listen, when it comes to ministry, and I'm getting in trouble, but go ye is going to cost ye, and all of y'all who got 30 to 100 members and who do not put your pastor on at least some kind of salary, you're out of order. You are out of order. You are out of order, and you are a user. Y'all can get together, and say, hey, we're gonna put we're gonna get past our budget. Y'all can do that. You understand what I'm saying? Y'all can do that.
But see, we live in a day and age where we expect the pastor to preach, pray, prophesy, to counsel, to have Bible study, to feed the homeless, to be a good steward, be a good husband and wife, but husband in most cases, be a good parent to their children, and we expect them to still go work a job 40 hours a week.
Come on.
and then be available at the church all the time when we need them too. Hospital visits, house calls, funerals. When you look at the scope of it, we expect most pastors to work the equivalent of 2 full-time jobs and take care of their family.
That's stressful. That is stressful. I'm trying to tell you.
I don't know too many people that are willing to work 2 full-time jobs because, even if you don't have to have service 5 times a week, pastoring is not a part-time job, no
It
matter
is
how much you try
not.
to make it. Whether it's counseling people, whether it's prayer, it's study, it's teaching, it's reviewing, it's writing, it is studying for a degree. It is not by any means part-time, but we expect the pastor to work the equivalent of 2 full-time jobs. I don't know too many people that's going to work the equivalent of 2 full-time jobs and only get paid for one.
Hmm.
Come on now.
Come on.
It's going to cost ye to go, and you've got to understand you are pulling on people's time. You don't know, some pastors, if they are working a job, they've got to take, they're going to come minister. Guess what? They've got to put in time from their job, depending upon what type of job that is. There may not be paid time off that they're taking to come and minister. Their family arrangements, whatever childcare arrangements. There's a lot that goes into them being able to come and minister to you, to your congregation, for you. And I think a lot of people who say these types of things, they say them ignorantly because they're not close enough to see what it's like. I remember we went somewhere and we were ministering out of town, and the woman was sharing how she would travel with her pastor, and she saw her pastor go 4 or 5 states over just to come home with nothing, going in the hole financially to go and minister to people.
People think that's noble. People think that's noble.
Nobody should be in the hole because they went to minister and be a blessing.
Come
Not
on.
saying they just went and won't sit, but was called upon and requested.
Right.
You call on somebody to come out of states, to come and minister, to be a blessing to your congregation, to pour into your life, to pour into their lives, to change their lives. They should not be going home in the hole. What you call, you should be prepared to count up the cost of what you're calling upon them for. Because your cost in your request, you should be including the cost to meet that request.
That's right.
That's the reality of it.
And you have to put value on the gift in order to properly abstract from the gift.
Mm-hmm.
Because Jesus said, hey, if it be worthy, let your peace come upon it.
Yes.
A lot of people don't have peace and blessing in their lives or in their house because they dishonor the gift. Mm-hmm. They dishonor the gift that God has sent them, right? Because Jesus told his apostles, he said, those who receive you, receive me, right? He says, but if it don't be worthy, he said, shake the dust off your feet. And then he said, verily I say unto you, it shall be more tolerable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment than for that city. How many cities are in ruin right now because they rejected the gift? They did not properly honor the gift. Okay, how many homes? How many homes are in ruin because they didn't properly honor a gift that God sent?
Come on.
How many people, went into ruin financially because they did not properly honor a gift? Okay, the man. Can you imagine if the widow woman didn't bake Elijah a cake? And what you had wasn't enough for you to live off of anyway. Can you imagine what, if she would have said, nope, I'm not baking you no cake. I'm not taking food out of my child's mouth to feed you. Because that's what biblically, that's essentially what she did. Yes. She took food out of her child's mouth to feed the prophet. Mm-hmm. And to feed the prophet first. You understand how insulting that sounds? Mm-hmm. The prophet said, feed me first. But then the mantle of the prophet began to go to work. The prophet had a need. He needed food. And a lot of times a man or woman of God's need is an opportunity for you to get blessed.
Woo. That's good right there.
A man or woman of God. I'm sorry. Everybody ain't equal. Everybody don't got this. All right. And you can get mad all day long, but you cannot disprove me scripturally.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing you can do is bring humanistic, offended principles and try to prove me wrong. But you can't prove me wrong in this book. I don't know everything, but I know this book. All right, this is my life. I spent most of my life studying this.
Yes.
All right, so you can listen. You can debate me you can debate me with some things, but you will not debate me with this. I will eat you alive. I will eat you for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Okay, and do it again the next day. You can't beat me in this. Okay, listen. God used the need of the man of God to bless the woman.
Yes.
And then she had to go borrow. Okay. And that's a whole nother revelation right there, because you're only supposed to borrow when it's beneficial. But anyway, she had so much overflow, she had to borrow to contain it all. So then she ended up paying off her debt, because back then, like if you owed somebody and you couldn't pay the debt, like they either put you or your children in slavery. You understand? And they had you work off your debt. So the creditor was getting ready to come and take her son. Listen, I'm trying to tell you. Listen, you are worthy when you properly compensate the man or woman of God, or you properly compensate or accommodate. Some of you, if you would just follow this principle right here, I'm not talking about idolatry.
Right.
Okay, I'm not talking about putting a person in the place of God.
We're not talking about robbing the church.
Yeah, we're not talking about robbing the church, pimping the church, none of that kind of stuff. And some of these pastors steal because y'all don't honor them properly anyway. It still ain't right. It ain't right, but that's just what y'all do. Okay, and a lot of times that's the consequence. And then some people are just greedy dogs. All right. So we're not talking about that. I'm talking about a healthy approach to sowing and accommodating. Why? Because God don't give everybody everything. Okay, when God wants to bless you, he assigns a person to you.
Yes.
Okay, he's going to always assign people to your life. Okay. He can always assign people to your life. Can you imagine if she would not have fed the prophet? The mantle of the prophet would not have worked. Can you imagine when Saul lost? I think Saul lost his donkey. If they wouldn't have came to the prophet with a gift, okay, what would have happened there? Because it was customary, the Bible say, to bring the prophet a gift. Okay, if we start honoring our prophets more, then guess what? Maybe we can put the psychics out of business. Okay, maybe we can put the psychics out of business. All right. So listen, none of us are above what Jesus told his apostles. Okay. I'm going to say it again. None of us are above what Jesus told his apostles. None of us are above the instructions the prophet gave the widow woman.
Yes.
You understand? When you meet the needs of a man of God, because they represent God. They're not God, but they represent God. They're in ambassadorial form. So when you meet the needs of your pastor, your spiritual father, mother, God, listen, you have a right to command blessing upon your own life, your own house. You understand? And it's not always even about the perfection of that leader either, because let's just go there. Because some of y'all see one flaw in your leader and you start disqualifying them.
Right.
You start disqualifying them. No. But if you want your ministry to be what it needs to be, then guess what? You need to give the pastor or the man or woman of God more time to strategize and to hear from God. It's hard to hear from God when you've been working all day and then you got to go to church and preach, or you got to counsel a bunch of people after you get off work.
Or you go somewhere, you get in town and you got to get off the road and go change your clothes, and then you go right into ministry.
Right. I've seen pastors come to church in their work clothes.
Mm-hmm.
They come to church in their work clothes. What is this? We don't value the sacred things of God no more.
Mm-hmm.
We don't. We don't. Because we figure, well, the pastor, they ought to get a job. And Paul had a trade, but see, if you study, see, a lot of y'all don't study.
Mm-hmm.
Paul had to work with his hands because the church was stingy.
Yes.
He shouldn't have had to, but see, they gave to all the other apostles that made merchandise of them. And then when it came to their own spiritual father, they didn't have none.
That part.
So Paul said, okay, we're not going to make a mockery of the gospel. And I'm paraphrasing. We're not going to make a mockery of the gospel. We're not going to make an occasion for you all to murmur and complain. So we're going to work with our own hands.
Mm-hmm.
He says, but he even admitted this is a right that we have a right to receive from you, but we're not going to execute our right. It's a right for your leader to receive from you. According to the Bible, it is a right. And the Bible tells us not to muzzle the ox that tread the corn, right? Let's see, where's that scripture? I'm gonna find it. Right here. Because see, a lot of people are dishonorable and wonder why shame and dishonor hits their life like that. No, I ain't speaking curses or none of that kind of stuff. But let's see. I'm gonna find it in just a minute because the Bible talks about double honor. All right, but I'm gonna read it contextually for you. All right, I'm gonna read it here we go, right here.
Mm-hmm.
1 Timothy 5.
Yes.
1 Timothy 5. It says, verse 17. It says, "Let the elders that rule well be counted worthy of double honor, especially those who labor in word and doctrine." So the leaders and the pastors that's always given of themselves every week in doctrine and teaching you and oversight and stuff like that, they're worthy of double honor. Double honor. For scripture saith, "Thou shalt not muzzle the ox that treadeth the corn, and the labor is worthy of his reward." So if you have a leader laboring with you, you should be rewarding them.
Yes.
And you should be rewarding them with money. This is about money and provision.
Yes.
Your pastor should not be lacking. Matter of fact, once a Sunday, y'all probably should have a Sunday where you just give to your pastor.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. And your pastor should at least walk out of there with a few $1,000s. Okay.
Ooh.
Because if you were setting aside your little 100, everybody could just bring it on the first or the fourth Sunday or whatever day y'all choose to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Your pastor should never be going hungry. Your pastor should never go hungry. Every pastor should have pastoral Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Huh? Every leader should have a Sunday in which everything goes to them. I'm talking about the everything they collect that they tithes off and everything goes to them. Okay.
Ooh, you just cussed to some people.
I'm just saying, you want the pastor to better do their job, you need to relieve them.
Right.
That way you eliminate their excuse for not doing their job.
That part.
You can't hold the pastor accountable for something you have not liberated them to do.
Exactly.
Okay. You want your spiritual father or mother or whoever to really be a good one in your life, start relieving them.
Right.
Eliminate their excuses for not making time with you. Eliminate their excuses for not pouring into you. Come on. Eliminate your pastor's excuses by providing.
You're part of the solution.
Right. Eliminate their excuses. Stop being stingy. Well, I don't have a whole bunch of money. What do you got, though? Okay.
Right.
What do you got? Okay. You don't got no money. You got hands. You can labor.
That's right.
I'm just saying. There's been people that have offered to do things for us, and they came around and they did it, and all of a sudden, God would give me a word of direction for them out of nowhere. Like, oh my God, that was an answer to my prayer. You see, you understand what I'm saying? You never know what you're going to receive. But if
That's
God has
right.
assigned that leader to your life, then he'll speak to them in the most opportune or awkward moments to answer your prayer or to be a blessing to your life.
Mm.
You understand what I'm saying? So I'm telling you, let the elders that rule well be worthy of double honor. And I like what you said too. That means even the ones that ain't ruling well, they're at least worthy of the first honor.
Yes.
May not be worthy of double, but they're worthy of one. I mean, even Eli was worthy of one.
Yes. And he was old and heavy and undisciplined.
He was old, heavy, he was fat, undisciplined. But guess what? He raised Samuel as a prophet.
And none of Samuel's words ever fell to the ground.
Mhm. Yes, indeed. That's a whole different thing right there. Because I won't go live about that right
Mm-hmm.
there. But yeah. So
Mm.
so
That's good.
I've given y'all biblical examples of this.
Yes.
Go ye is going to cost you. Ministry costs money, and the
Yes.
pastor, the man or woman of God, should not be putting up their own money. They should have a stash. They should have a nice little nest egg to sit on while you funding their ministry,
Mm-hmm.
because it is the biblical model. It is the biblical thing to do.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And if you haven't done so in a while, I want to encourage you, plan a trip, even if you're not going anywhere. Plan a trip, flight, rental car, hotel, food. Because see, once you have, for some people, they need the visual. You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Even if you're not going nowhere, plan a trip and get an idea of how much it's going to cost you to go on a trip in another state for 3 days or 5 days. And then ask, once you get that number in front of you, because it's going to be a decent sized number, ask yourself, if we're asking this person to leave their job, to leave their family, to leave their home church, to come here for 3 or 5 days to come minister, why should they have to really come out of their pocket with this to be a blessing to us? See, for some people, there's a disconnect because they haven't done the math and they can't see that number in front of
yeah,
them. But plan that flight, and even you can do a flight, car, rental car, hotel, whatever food is involved, calculate at least enough for a meal or two a day. And then ask yourself, should this person have to come out of their pocket for this to be a blessing to me or my church?
right. You got some leaders that'll work with you, but at least put something in.
Right.
You know, at least put something in, because I'm always prepared to pay for my own food. Okay, just in case folks get you know beside themselves. But I'm always prepared to pay for me and my wife food when we go places. But that don't mean that we should have to.
Right.
You know.
So definitely, you've got to change your perspective when it comes to counting up the costs. It's not just the cost of doing ministry, but it's the cost for you to receive from somebody's gift, from somebody's mantle,
Yeah.
and they are going out of their way to be a blessing to you, your church, your leadership team, your marriage, your family, or what have you. You should be prepared to supply that cost for what you're receiving.
Yeah.
That's at least the basics of honor that can be provided. Do you have any closing remarks for the people today?
Ministry is just as important, if not more important, than your job.
Woo.
Okay. No, matter of fact, no. Ministry is more important than your job, because these deal directly with the sacred things of God. So if your leader is leading, that should be their primary job.
That's right.
And I'm not, there's some leaders that are called and mandated for business. Okay, but when you are watching over people's souls like that, that should be your primary job, because that's something you have to devote time to. That like you can't just do that haphazardly. You have to do that wholeheartedly. And it takes time to do it right. Okay, a lot of pastors don't pastor right because they don't listen. A shepherd, their job is the sheep.
That's right.
If you meet a real shepherd, their primary job is guiding and leading them sheep. Okay,
Mm.
that's their job. That's their job. So So that means that if you are in a congregation, okay, and you got about 30 to 50 people, y'all can set aside $175 of every working person.
Mm,
Okay. And you start relieving your leaders, you know, and, they may not be able to, quit a full-time job. They may only work part-time. You see what I'm saying? And you
that's right.
supplement the rest of their salary. That's a start. That's a start. Okay. But your leaders should not be working their fingers to the bone like that. That's not the will of God, according to scripture.
Yes, indeed.
According to scripture, it's not the will of God. Treat your leaders better. No one of these people up and leaving and going and shit pastor other churches.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Some of the moves are opportunistic, but some people, they're tired of being dishonored and mistreated,
And overworked and underpaid.
overworked and underpaid. Okay, overworked and underpaid. So let's do better.
Yes.
Let's do better by our leaders. Okay, you want them to lead right. Okay, start by eliminating the excuse of finances. All right. So those are my final words.
Yes, indeed. Well, I want to thank you, everybody, for joining us on the F3 podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Hit the notification bell so you'll be notified for when we are premiering again. Until next time, goodbye.